is also a public commentator, journalist, and also a researcher, Mr. Taiwo Olakbade. Mr. Taiwo, welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're looking at the posthumous award honors that we're giving to these heroes of our country. And let's look at Shehu Musa Yaradua. Doing that, how will you comment the president for that? Your reaction?
Well, just like I met
also Kudurat Abiola too.
Just like I met Barrister talking about this same honor announced yesterday by Mr. President at June 12th celebration, which is our Democracy Day, from May 29th to June 12th, and at a joint session of the National Assembly. For me, I think it's a welcome development, particularly the one for, of course, I'm not saying that I'm not playing down the one done, the honor done on Shehu Musa Yaradua or any other awardees.
He got the highest, he got the biggest.
That's what
he's entitled to it
as the president of the
former president.
That's the highest. So I'm not playing it down, but my focus more on the Ogoni Nine, because they were unjustly executed by the junta of General Sani Abacha, because they stood their ground against environmental degradation, and this is still occurring as we speak, particularly in the South. So for the families of these Ogoni Nine that the president did this honor yesterday, I'm sure it will bring a bit of closure to them, because for what the president did, and even the president pardon given to them, means that they were never committed any offense against a country called Nigeria. So that's the meaning. So it goes a long way beyond the recognition, the award. The president also announced that is giving them a presidential pardon. That means they've never committed any offense. That's the implication. And again, the one also done on late Professor Humphrey Nwosu, because this democracy we are talking about today is a man that also stood his ground against the military. The military government of former President Babangida at the point took we don't call it INEC then.
We call it NEC.
NEC then, National Electoral Commission. The military took them to court that this election should not hold. But the man stood his ground against all odds, ready to lay down his life. So I see no reason why the past government did not even deem it fit to recognize the person that we can say was also another contributor, because you can't just say a late Chief M.K. Abiola. Somebody conducted that election. And for him to have been recognized, I think it is a well-deserved honor for late Professor Humphrey Nwosu, because he was the one assigned. He was the one that gave us that gave us option E4. And today, many Nigerians still believe that is the fairest election in the country, and that's why for me and some, we are also advocating that let us return to that election that even cost so less cumbersome. There is no matter of IREF or uploading. From the polling booths, you will know what figure President Tinubu got, what figure Obi got, what figure Atiku got. So there is no argument. You know your result from on the spot, and it's less expensive. Last year we conducted the election to the tune of about 350 billion naira, and yet there was so much of loopholes, so much of crisis, so much of error cries that I said we wasted money. Let us return to option A4. What is the fear of our politicians? We returning to option A4, which is less expensive.
They're afraid of losing.
I don't know.
They know that the people are not with them. Option A4 requires the people to line up behind the candidate or behind the poster of the candidate, and they count. It's head count. It's head count. You count 1, 2, 3,
and it is done simultaneously.
They might call it held method.
No. You can't vote twice. This one that somebody will vote will see your name appearing. This one at 10 o'clock, everybody when you are not on the queue by 10, the count is done simultaneously nationwide. So you cannot vote in Ward A
and be able to vote in any other place.
It is not possible. It is done simultaneously. If you are not on the queue before the count is done, that means you are not part of that. So you cannot vote twice. This one that will say somebody is voting here, when you vote here, you go to another polling booth. No, No. Everybody nationwide, it is done simultaneously.
Well,
so won't you buy this idea of option 4?
Let me listen to Nigerians and this. Nigerians, let's take your view. Let's take. Let know if you are also in line with this A4. Sometimes when you mention A4 like that, you look at A4 paper. We're not talking about A4 paper. We're talking about the older methods of electoral process back in the days. All right, callers 0705 690 0927. 0705 690 0927, or you can call 0802 502 7711. You can also call 0802 502 7711. You can also reach us on the other line 0903 714 2798. 0903 714 2798. Right here on Spotlight on Super FM 92.7. Yes, we're talking about the honors that's been given to our heroes. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. What's the name we're calling from?
I'm calling from K2.
What's the name?
Uwen Friday.
All right, Friday from K2. Well, today is your day, Friday. All right, so let's have you quickly. What's your take? Are you going for
my
A4?
take, sir? I believe I'm lucky. How I happened to have tuned into the station this morning. My takes are on the election. Okay. Can't we have the GSM lines do the election for us? Everybody from the comfort of their home, vote online. Is it not possible, please?
Well, you think the tech service will not infiltrate that?
Huh?
You think the tech savvy will not infiltrate that?
Wow.
I'm just asking. It's just a very innocent question.
This one, even network is even very erratic. Our network
we can't hand over the election.
I'm not hearing you so conveniently.
Our network is so erratic.
You can hear me?
If possible.
Can you hear me?
What?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you better now.
I said this time around, don't you think that the tech savvy will infiltrate this process you're talking about? The technology savvies, those who are...
Okay. They said what is not possible?
Well, I'm just asking. I'm just saying. All right.
Let's discuss that briefly. Now, I think there has to be a network, with INEC, okay, or a major server before there can be such a voting method, because you cannot hand over high volume of that kind of election to all these service providers. Otherwise, you mess up the entire process. It can be compromised also.
All right, let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
good morning in the studio.
Good morning. Welcome to the show, Spotlight. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Peter Usifo. I'm calling from Abaronje in a cartoon.
All right.
Once more, happy Democracy Day celebration.
Well, I say happy post-Democracy Day. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In arrears anyway.
All right. Please go ahead.
Yes. Actually, the issue at stake is, first of all, we thank God that the late Professor Henry Wosu has been finally honored. But coming to the point of whether we have to adopt option A4, so I did not partake in that election in 1993, or the way they described it, the lining up and the rest, to me, it's good on paper. But in practice at the moment, it is not possible. Why? Because of the population we have. Now, you cannot compare the election of 1993 to the one of this time. The common people will be, discouraged to come out. So to line up and maybe the 500 and something or the 2,000 and something on the line. There's no need for that, So I think we have to be more scientific this time around. Option A4 is good on paper, but in practice at the moment, it is not practicable as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Because our population is going at a very geometric proportion at the moment.
Yeah.
So that is my submission.
Thank you very much for that comment. Okay. Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show. Tell us your name quickly and where you're calling from.
My name is Tunde, and I'm calling from VI.
All right, Tunde from VI. Please make your comment.
All right. So I want to comment on two things, really. The first is the Ogoni Nine case.
Okay.
And, I mean, they were granted a pardon, right? And for me, that really does not do justice. It would have made more sense that the case was revisited, right? And let's know if they were guilty or not. And then, you know, it will be cleared. Pardon means forgiveness. Yeah. So it means they were, of course, they were
innocent or forgiven.
That's what I understand it to be. So, but let it be revisited. We've seen in other countries where, cases are revisited 30, 40 years after, and then they say, oh, these people were never guilty in the first place, right? And then, it's clear, but a pardon for me, I don't know. I don't think is the best thing that could have come out of that. Then secondly, the election, the option for, let's be realistic, that can't really work with me.
But would you have loved it if you can't, aside from the option not really working, would you have loved that option?
Well, anything that can produce a fair, and credible election, why not? But the truth is, look at our population now. How are people supposed to queue everybody at 10 o'clock and then everybody votes? And I mean, it is not.
It's always a public holiday on that day. No work, nothing. So you basically know that
and
that day is for elections.
People still queue. If you look at even the one we are doing now, people still queue.
Yeah.
And it takes a longer time to attend to each person.
Yes.
Which one is better? Efficiency.
Sometimes
to attend to you can have in the line. In some places you can have over 500 people trying to vote. Yeah. But this one is different. You line up behind the candidate and it's easy to count because everybody is split on the line. Yeah. The candidate you want to support, you line up there. And you will see within 30 minutes it's over.
Seamlessly it is done.
It's over.
Seamlessly.
Well, I mean, that's valid, but I feel like even if we want to go back to such a method, it has to be improved on. It has to be modified and modernized.
All right.
So that it counts.
Okay.
Yes, that's my view.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Okay, the phone lines are still 0705 690 0927. 0705 690 0927. You can also call 0802 502 7711. 0802 502 7711. I come to Barrister. Barrister, okay, let's pick this call before. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show, Spotlight. What's the name? Where are you calling from? Spotlight, Super FM. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Spotlight, Super FM. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for what you brought this morning in your set of literature. My name is Sajidin Karuni. Hello?
Well, with you. Go ahead, please.
Now, the first thing is that the option
A4.
A4 is a good idea. But the most problem is that we, the masses, we should be enlightened in the sense that time of this 1993 to this time is quite different. The policies that we are playing is quite different. People are always need some money. No matter how it may be, even though they say that they should do it now, because of the selfishness of our people making money, it will not let it work. First thing is to enlighten the masses. We, our masses, not the government. We should be understanding that the voting is our right. It's not because of money to get the money. So that's one little one. People say they are not going to do this for. Now, they use this election or do this now. Let us have this in mind that we should forget about the making money.
Okay, I'm trying to understand you. Why not go to a point? Let's get to understand what your options or what your choice are.
What I'm saying that there is no the option, therefore it's not the most.
It's not the best.
The consent of our people, the consent of everybody.
Okay.
To know that it's our right, we should not be able, because right now, even though they do that one, they'll be making money. They'll be collecting money from the politicians.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much
so
for...
to raise that one up, that is the most important thing. That is because the corruption is already escalated to everywhere.
Okay, thank you very much.
My major take about that one.
Okay, thank you.
So instead of that, that is how it should be. Because the man tries his best and he makes it to even that this will work. But let us, all of us remember that this June 12, there are some people who go to court. Everybody was saying Babangida.
All right. Please, you need to round up right now. Thank you very much. We've got your opinion on this.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Quickly, okay, Barrister, I was coming to you that what's the significance of a pardon after one is already late?
Yes. Okay, now there is a difference between... Yes, a pardon. A pardon is a wiping out of whatever guilt or whatever liability or whatever responsibility you have been accounted to have committed or that is entrusted or accounted to you. Okay. So it wipes it off. And that's last speaker, when he was talking, he seems not to understand what the concept of presidential pardon, what it's all about. Now, whatever record that is against you is cleaned up. That's just what it means. It's as if you never committed any crime or any offense. But what he said, which I also, which is the argument on the other side by some other people, that the issue should have been revisited by either a panel, because we know that the Ogoni Nine was actually killed on principle, the military principle, not on whether they were guilty or not, because it was a mob action. The killing was a mob action. So what the government did was to pick people they suspect are the leaders who have been agitating against that particular issue of environmental degradation, and they now isolate them as the killers. There were evidence even in the course of the Ogoni Nine case that some of them were not even present. Some of them were not even in town. Some of them were not even there. Okay, but the military still went ahead to execute those people, and that is the injustice that is in it. And I think that's what that young man was trying to, that if they revisit it, they will now see that those people were never guilty in the first place.
Wow, interesting. Okay, right, we are being joined in the studio right about now. I tell you, it's a very broad conversation coming from Tinubu honoring and pardoning some great ears, and also to food and the law. I know when Nigerians hear food, definitely it is. But definitely just how to live a healthy life. We're also being joined in the studio right now by environmental and occupational health consultant. On my left here is Hezekiah Akinpelu Owalabi Asamu. I guess I got the name correctly.
Very well.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, on my right here, we have one man who is a food and agribusiness advocate and a creator of Street Food Niger, Femi Ogundoro. So Femi, welcome. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, welcome to the show. Okay, before we quickly take a short breather and come back and talk more on food. Yes, food and the law. Let me hear your view. I don't know if you want to make a comment on the honors that the president, honor great ears. You don't want to make comment? Okay, do you want to make comment on the ears? Okay. All right, lastly, before we wrap up on the show, a lot of things have been happening, and Nigerians have been screaming, shouting that these ears they've been cheated. Mr. Taiwo, do you feel that some of these people have been cheated? Those who were being honored, the posthumous, they were not given the right honor.
For what President Tinubu did yesterday by honoring those he described as the heroes and heroines of June 12 election, and also those who also fought tirelessly for us to enjoy the democracy that we have today, I think for me is the right thing to do. And for me, it's a welcome development. And no matter how long, particularly for this Ogoni, I keep repeating it, two major ones that stood out for me, Professor Ofrinwosu and the Ogoni Nine. It will bring a closure to the fact that these people were never committed any offense against the state called Nigeria the time they were murdered, executed by the military junta of late General Sani Abacha.
Okay. And I think I also want to add that there are so many Nigerians who suffered, who lost limbs, their parents killed in this June 12. I think there is a need to widen the scope. Government should begin to think of compensating some of these families because they lost a lot. Many people, I remember there were even people who had their limbs cut off as a result of that problem of the June 12. A lot of people were shot in the course of that struggle and all of that. And then we had some people in Nigeria today, unsung heroes, on the other side of the activists, who should also be recognized. Not just those who process the election itself. There were some people who were activists who stood by the mandate that was given to MK Abiola. Some of us were part of it. I was part of those at that time who were all involved. I was working with Chief Ganifa Emi at that time. And Dr. Beko, I was also involved in the pro-democracy activism. So we knew what we went through against the military to get this democracy to be on the right track. So there are people on the activists, and the president knows them. We have people like Zekome, people like Ayobe, the late Chima Ubani. Some of these people were great people who saw that and went all out to ensure that what is fair is fair.
We really can't finish this conversation of June 12th. Probably I will come again next week and have this conversation. We have to take a short breather now. When we come back, yes, don't forget we're also live on Facebook and live on YouTube at Super FM Lagos. Let's get a short breather. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
We don't just talk, we walk. Switch to the good side of life. We're on 92.7 Super FM. Follow us on all our socials at Super FM Lagos to stay engaged and connected to the Super Station. One family, one radio. 92.7 Super FM. To listen to us anywhere, download the Super FM Global app on the Google App Store or the iOS app right now. Stay connected to Super FM. 92.7 Super FM. Our environment is not a dump. It's our home. Improper waste disposal pollutes water, air, and soil. Let's do it. Sort your waste, use bins, recycle what you can, and never dump waste in gutters and landfills. Clean communities start today. This is Welcome back. 92.7 Super FM.
Alright, welcome back. It's still Spotlight on Super FM 92.7. Yes, it's a very season time for us to talk about food. Food is very important in our daily life today. And there are a whole lot of laws in regards to food. In Nigeria, food safety and quality are governed by laws and regulations primarily enforced by NAFDAC. That's the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. Well, first thing first, there is no ban on import on foreign food. The government are also saying we won't fund foreign food. And only about 40 million or less Nigerians depend on those imported food. Many of the rest survive on street. Well, I told you we have one man who is a creator of street food in Nigeria. Definitely we'll have a more robust conversation in regards to street food. Let me come to Mr. Femi Ogundoro. Mr. Femi, good morning. I greeted you already, but it's not bad when you greet you again. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about all of this street food. What's really the problem in the food industry? There are a lot of people complain. What are the problems in food industries?
Okay, I think you were trying to talk about the importation and the fact that a lot of people depend on street food in Nigeria. So street food is one space that then a lot of people are not, looking at. Okay. Yet that is what we survive on. According to data, you see, I think we have about 63% of our population are in multidimensional poverty. And if you have that number of people, it can translate to about 133 million or 140 something million people. What that means is that these people live on $1.25 or $1.90 per day. In reality, that is not what happens in Nigeria. Yeah. Just right here in Victoria Island, driving in here this morning, I still saw a lot of people buying food. And those people probably live on less than 1,000 naira, to eat in the morning, and then they skip lunch, and then in the evening. So if you really want to focus on, you want to get to those people, the easiest way of getting to them is through the street food. But street food is not, is unregulated. It's not one that a lot of people want to be associated with once you move beyond the middle class, So nobody sends the common man, I don't like to use that word, but, that's the reality. So street food is flavorful. Street food is affordable. Street food is available. Street food is everything you can think about. But in terms of hygiene, it's not there. In terms of positioning, it's not there. And that street food is what protects our, how do I put it, cultural heritage when it comes to certain things we got growing up in Nigeria. Igbo, you want to taste authentic, what do they call this?
Herbs.
No. I mean, beans. These are beans.
Yeah.
Ewa going and all. You get it on the street. The restaurant might not be able to give you that authentic taste. So it has a lot of issues.
I think many Nigerians eat on the go. I mean,
Nigerians are actually
mobile people. Yes.
So they are out all day. So they actually need to eat.
Yeah, but I mean, the challenges there, like you requested, one would be hygiene, safety, food safety, and how do you regulate that? And that's what we are trying to do generally.
All right, let me come to Mr. Hezekiah right here, who is environmental and occupational health consultant. Mr. Hezekiah, you had Mr. Femi right there say all of this. What do you think the government can do?
The reality is that there are regulations in place, but the defect is lack of enforcement. Now, street food has become all commerce business. And when we talk about handling food, it has to be really regulated if that food is going to promote public health. So for some individuals who are educated, who tried as much as possible to gather some knowledge about how to handle food in an hygienic way, it's a competition for them. Because it is those ones who are unregulated that competes with them in the market. And when they compete with them in the market, it becomes discouraging. Because most of Nigerians, based on that poverty index, would like to go for at least cheapest food they can actually get. So what they can afford is what they will go into.
And do you think that's why Nigerians patronize street food?
Yes, street food, just the way he described it, is easier for people to get. And because people are mobile, they are all over the places, they cannot prepare their own meal at home. Even those that are of higher social class, they are in their workplaces, they will leave very early in the morning, so they cannot prepare their breakfast, they will have to take it from the street food. even their lunch, they just break from work and go for something that they can afford. So it's an open field which many individuals who are learned about food safety need to tap into. But it has to be in line with the regulation. Because Nigeria have that law in place, it's just a step. But it's not just wise for you to buy a car without having a plan to maintain it. Now that the law is there, it's an instrument. It cannot actually come to reality unless there are people who are empowered to enforce. There are levels of competence, people who are already trained that are out there in the field, but they are incapacitated because there are lack of facility and enabling or conducive work environment with tools, necessary tools to implement all of this. Because if all of these street food vendors are regulated, everyone can be assured that, yes, you will take safe food.
If you think if they are regulated, wouldn't it affect, source of income to some Nigerians, or would it affect some Nigerians? Don't you think that Nigerians will bear the consequences?
No, I don't agree. The reason why I don't agree is because there are certain basic things that we need to do as an individual on our own to maintain our health. Okay. And if all of those things are put in place while you are preparing street food, and all the gadgets with which you display the food items are in the proper place or done properly, definitely the food will still be safe. Remember that prevention is cheaper and better than cure. So if those preventive measures that you need to take, even at the domestic level, you take it into consideration while you are on street food vending, definitely it's not going to be on that high end. I actually tried to do some things within the Lagos Central Business District, and I discovered that over 63 to 80% of people who are engaging in street food vending, they are far, far behind as regards to their knowledge, their attitude, and their practice towards food safety and food hygiene.
Do you agree?
Absolutely. Excuse me. How do people get into street food? Before now, a lot of people got into it just because they felt they needed to survive. Lack of employment, and then I felt, my mom taught me how to prepare this meal. So because there's a need around me, they started that way. So a lot of people dabbled, not like they went there, they were intentional about it. But street food is not something that should be left in the hands of those that don't know what they're doing. Fortunately, a lot of, sensitization has been ongoing. So people are now beginning to see, because what you consume in the morning or as breakfast or lunch sometimes is on the streets, because these people can't afford to prepare their own meals. So they have to rely on that. So if you're not giving them if the food is not well fortified in terms of nutrients that is required by our body, forget it. Then we're killing ourselves. That's what we're doing. So it's beyond survival. So I quite agree that we need to sensitize these people right there on the street. And that's why we have created, it's not enough to just say there's a problem and not preferring solutions to it, especially in a teeming or youthful population that we have on the continent. In Nigeria alone, you have about 70% of our population under 35. And which means you have a lot of millennials, you have a lot of Gen Z or Gen Alphas. So these people are they're very they're conscious of their health. So but you need to speak to them in the way that they understand. You can't continue to do it the way you have always done. And that's why we created a platform called Street Foods Niger.
That street food that you created, have you been able to address all of this environmental lures? Has it been able to cure or probably change their mind on healthy living?
Absolutely. Street Food Niger has not only been able to shift the culture or reposition that space, it's been able to educate and elevate that.
To what percentage?
I mean, in terms of empowerment, you might not be able to. I might not be able to say here that. But I'll give you impact assessment that we've done. Okay. For instance, on the economic side, some of the guys that were on Street Food Niger before now, I'll give you an example of Korede Spaghetti or King Lab. Corridor Spaghetti, before Street Foods Niger, he had a cubicle in Unilag, and he barely sold probably 500 to 600 packs of his food per day. Now, 4 or 5 years later, the same Corridor Spaghetti is not only operating from one outlet, is operating from 3 different outlets. 1, 2, that Corridor now does over 4,000 packs a day. Just very recently, Corridor Spaghetti has been able to cross 1 billion naira in sales just on Chowdeck alone.
So lures. Yes. Please take us through all of these lures.
Yes, actually there is a total disconnect in our environmental laws in this aspect of food vending actually. You discover that government looks at it as a public health issue, either as a public health issue or they look at it as environmental protection issue. That's the aspect government is interested in. So all the laws that have been put in place, you find that is either looking at the protection of the environment, issues of waste disposal, issues of refuse and nuisance, and some of the things that they can constitute to society. And to that extent, the method that is used is more or less like repressive, trying to clean up, take them out of the street, ensure that they don't do the business. Whereas what the government should actually do is to do a proper understudy of that business and how they can impact the business positively. So most of our laws actually has to do like we are trying to remove them, block and destroy their sheds, pull down some of their
use of force.
Yes, the use of force to ensure that they don't constitute what they call nuisance and all of that. Instead of impacting them and assisting them to build an investment on their own and to create jobs for others. Because most of those food outlets can actually create jobs for other Nigerians, other young people who may be working with these particular visionaries. Okay, so but on the other hand, you also see that there is no direct, as of today, there is no direct law that deals with this problem that we are talking about, this food vending. The only law that you can look at is maybe the act that set up the NAFDAC, because NAFDAC actually has some aspect of NAFDAC mandate has to do with food, okay, safety of food, and quality of food, and all of that. Then testing of food to ensure that is of good standard and is also healthy for the people to consume. That's the aspect that NAFDAC is actually interested in. But you discover that the environmental laws in the state is quite different. The environmental laws in the state are more like sanitation laws. Okay, so there is nothing really that assists some of these food vendors to be able to recreate their environment, to be able to determine the quality of their food. Okay.
You know I mean when
except for the initiative that my good friend is now introducing.
I mean, when we started, we realized also that it's important.
I still want to talk about the various laws anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at the environment because that's one of the major challenges.
Yes.
But if you look around you now, it's changing. It's fast changing.
Yeah.
Corridor Spaghetti or these guys that you find everywhere, they are not in that dirty environment. If you check our page on social media, you will see some of them right now are very conscious of it.
Yeah.
And that's because of the spotlights. That's because people are seeing the need for that change. On the government side as well.
What you're saying is about 5 or 3%.
No.
So there's a lot of them in the street now. A lot.
What have we done?
Yes.
What we've done is not just to focus on a small sect or sample of the population. No. What we've done is we focus on a few, but we have amplified it through the media. And that's how people learn. So when you see it that you're not supposed to prepare your moi moi in a nylon on TV, then when next you want to prepare moi moi, you would stop that. That's what we need conditioning. And that's exactly, we transforming their minds. That's the first thing you do. And that's the impact. That's the greater impact here. Not even just the people that we have been able to touch directly. Just to say very quickly, somebody needs to bail the cat. And that's what Food Bay TV and Street Food Nigeria has been doing. we're also speaking to the government. So in the last 2 seasons, we have had 1 or 2 ministries be a part of what we're doing. And right now we have the Ministry of Social Youth and Social Development partnering with us on a yearly basis. The Honorable Commissioner, Mobolaji Ogunlende, is very passionate about what we're doing. And the Permanent Secretary. So we're going, the 9 yards in ensuring that even if we have to come up with laws that will help that space, then we will come up with it.
Okay, we don't have much time.
But there's a danger. There's a danger in this, all of this.
But because we really have so much to cover, and our gentleman came in quite late because of the Lagos traffic. Because we wanted to start this food conversation earlier in the show, but we had traffic. But you understand, it's Lagos. But we have to talk about this. In 2024, I come to you, Mr. Hezekiah. There were reports made on healthy Nigerian food. They talked about shawarma, hot dogs, noodles, bread,
fast foods.
Yes, foreign rice, snacks, butter, canned foods, sugar, energy drinks, biscuits, ice cream, imported fruits are not unhealthy Nigerian food. Do you agree?
It's just what brings the mindset is just because they are processed foods. Because they are processed food, in handling them, so many things might go wrong. Because we now do not have that quality assurance in place that these processes takes place according to the established standards and best practices. Then that fear comes in. And in so many cases, for evidence-based data, there are some samples that have been taken to the laboratory to see what are found in all those foods. And because there are things that are incriminating and certain thresholds are not met, then they are tagged as unhealthy food. Of course, from a nutritionist point of view, we will say that you don't depend more on those fast food because they do not have the required nutritional value to enhance your health if you depend likely on them. Now, on regulation that the Barr established.
Sorry again, they now said that healthy Nigerian or African food. I was shocked when I saw a Gary in the report. I saw yam cooked with peel. Cooked yam with the peel. Cocoa yam, afang soup, owa soup, vegetable soup, local rice, beans, Irish and sweet potato, ewedu, akpu, red meat. But I know our elders run away from red meat, and then eggs. So how do you justify that? Those they say are most healthy Nigerian or African food. Is that correct too?
Yes, just because I mentioned that they do not undergo too many processes. So because they do not undergo too many processes, some of them still have fibers.
I'm trying to put everything.
That is going to enhance.
I'm trying to put everything in. So yam should be cooked with a peel. It's healthier that way. Is that what you're saying?
It depends. It depends. If they properly handle it and it is properly cleaned, you can cook. Because you have subjected it to some form of heat. Yes, you can cook it. You know that you have groundnuts that will be fried with the peel on it. And there are some that they will break the shell and also fry. And there are some that they will even sieve it and make sure that there are nothing in it except that groundnut seed alone. So it depends on what process you pass it through. If those 5 keys to food safety are followed, why those things are being handled, because they are natural foods. They don't have to actually undergo too many processes. And apart from that, the fact that they are subjected to cooking, that in itself also is a safe haven for anyone who takes those food while they are still hot.
Okay, quickly, let me come to Mr. Femi. Quickly, lastly, before we go, we have just less than 1 minute. Do you think the government is doing enough right now with environmental laws to cover all of this shenanigans, or I'll say unhealthy food living in Nigeria or in Lagos?
Well, I can't say the government is doing enough, but it doesn't look like the government is not doing anything at the same time. So what is it? No, it's not. But that's the truth. Until you cross over to the other side, you would not really understand, how complicated, this situation is. And that's why even abroad you have lobbyists. So it's important that we speak up and we do the right thing. How do we do that now? We need to also engage the government. We need to come up with laws, and then speak to either the states assembly or the national assembly so that these can be passed and then it becomes laws, because some of these laws are like very old.
Thank you very much for your time. And that's coming from food and agribusiness advocate and creator of Street Foods in Niger, Femi Ogundoro. Thank you very much for your time this morning on the show. And also Barrister Deji Olaleye, lawyer, university lecturer, and public affairs analyst. Barrister Deji Olaleye.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Also Hezekiah Akinpelu Owalabi Asamu, environmental and occupational health consultant. Thank you for your time this morning. All right, Lagos, this is where we wrap it up on the show this morning on Spotlight on Super FM 92.7. Join us again on Monday, same time, 7:30 down to 9 a.m. I am Michael Inyang. Please enjoy your day.
Real radio, real music. It's 92.7 Super FM.